Hey, so what is going on, everyone? It is me, Mr. Mario.
And Dope Swanner.
And how are you doing today, Daniel?
Doing fantastic, man. I am doing great. Thank you for asking. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right, and I think we have a third person who's kind of spying on us right now.
Is that so?
Yeah, I think, do they need to introduce themselves?
I think so. I think that sounds right.
Okay, who do we have here?
Hey guys, your all-time neighborhood looker, XJonnyGunsX. How you doing, everybody?
Dude, for a second, I was thinking you said hooker, and I was pumped.
It's like, whoa, you be flying to places. Okay, yeah. I see how it is.
You can call me Johnny Buns on the weekends.
Oh, fuck me. That is the best thing I've ever heard right now.
Oh, my God. All right, we can just end the episode now.
Yeah, that's it.
No,
and
for real.
Cue the credits.
The show must go on. So anyways, for anyone that does not know, this is ModChat, where Daniel and I had started this up here because there was really a big drought of the modding scene on YouTube here, where we both started, with making modding videos on YouTube, all that good stuff. And we want to provide some things to you all. Now, we are going to be today talking about, some advice that we would give you all for getting into modding or repairs or anything along those sort of lines. And we also brought Johnny on here, one, because, he's pretty knowledgeable with all this stuff, and two, because we've been trying to get him on here for the longest time, and actually now we've kind of opened up the floodgates a little bit, because I'd originally said, and Daniel agreed with me, we both said we don't want any guests until Johnny's on as a guest.
Oh, you guys are too kind.
We literally, before we even started episode 1, had talked about one day where Johnny Guns is going to be on here with us. We had planned it,
Exactly. Yeah,
that's awesome.
So two things. One, Johnny, where the hell have you been? And two, Johnny, who are you? Go ahead, plug yourself, and why are you on here?
Hey guys, Johnny Guns here. I'm a YouTuber, as you guys already know, that likes to mod Xbox consoles. Some of you know this, but I was in Arizona for quite a few years, and I just moved back to upstate New York, and got a weird little job. I got my old job back, which I kind of I flunked out of, and then I started working on my new apartment. So that's what I've been doing. I've been kind of in the darkness, if you will, not doing too much, but doing more IRL stuff, working on the apartment. So looking to get back into things now, and I'm really appreciative to these two gentlemen here to have me on the show.
Oh, gotcha.
So,
hey, no worries. Hey, most of the time, honestly, I don't think we'd be opposed to having you on here, so the invitation's there.
Oh yeah, Johnny Guns. Or can I call you Johnny? No, just kidding. But we really are stoked to have you on the show, brother. Really, we thank you for taking the time out of your day to hang out with us for a little while here.
Well, thank you guys.
Yeah. So with that, let's go ahead and get into this. So, the topic at hand, we're mostly talking about, our recommendations for if you want to get into modding or anything like that. And I guess we'll kind of do a roundtable thing. We'll kind of throw in whatever the hell we want to on this. But first off, I'll say this. When I started, getting into modding, console modifications, anything like that, looking into playing backup games, it was back on the PS1. And I had no idea what a RAR file was or anything like that. So, I like to think I've come a decent amount of the way from when I was 11 or 12 or something like that. But I want to say one thing that does contribute to that is, number one, which this should just be a given, Google. I don't know if I have to say any more on that.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Google is your god. Google is the almighty powerful one. I mean, literally anything and everything pretty much within reason can be found on Google. And it doesn't take really a rocket scientist to put a couple keywords together and, check out a couple links. So Google is definitely going to be your best friend in terms of, as a source of ultimate information.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree, man. And also to back that up too, YouTube is the second one with that. So the power of YouTube.
Google owns YouTube now, so now it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. So definitely. Yeah, forums, man. That's with Google into forums, that was how I found everything. The poor blokes that are out there trying to figure this stuff out, and you see them getting raged on by the moderators. I'm not trying to get off topic here, but yeah, definitely Google, and then finding other people messing up, and then kind of learn from that. That's a big That's a big thing for me. It was a big thing for me.
Yeah, no, that's a big thing. You're going to have to break a few things along the way. So I'd even recommend, if you're getting into whatever it is, hardware or software, don't work on your precious thing. Like
Yes.
if you're wanting to, let's say, like JTAG an Xbox or jailbreak a PS3, and you've never had any soldering experience. Like one example, actually, there was one person I had seen where he had I don't even think it was a Flash Slim, but he was like, you know what, guys, I want to go ahead and reset glitch my system. Can somebody tell me all the tools I need and everything and all that stuff? And I need to learn how to solder and everything. So he was pretty much saying, I haven't had any experience with soldering. I want to reset glitch my system. Can people help me? First off, not really the best to get spoon-fed because not everyone likes that. And second, I even came out and just told him, I said, you're saying right now you have one good system and you've never soldered. Take my advice. Do not do whatever you're thinking of doing because you will ruin your system and you're going to hate yourself for it.
I definitely say that's something that I pushed on a lot of people, because I had a lot of people, again, like you said, basically messaging me with questions and things like that about RGHs or JTAGs or anything like that, any type of like actual hard mod. And they wouldn't necessarily even say that they'd never done it before, but you could tell kind of through their lingo or through the way they approach you that they've obviously, never done anything remotely like that before. And so my advice to everyone was either pick up a shit console and practice just soldering wires to different things or whatever, or just head down to like a Radio Shack and basically pick up a breadboard and maybe some basic components and just learn how to create little solder blobs and use flux and just get a kind of get your bearings essentially before ever attempting to mess with something that's currently working. If it's broken, it's a different story, but if it's working and you don't have experience, there's a very, very good possibility. I mean, look, you saw my Xbox One. I just fucking broke that, and I kind of know what I'm doing, at this point. So it's like definitely do your homework prior to. And in my opinion, homework is also doing things like that, like practicing on shit that's not important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've even been with that. I've been a big proponent of get a bad motherboard or a dead motherboard of some kind, or just even buy some wires and get a cheap computer off of Craigslist or something that's broken and just start soldering things on the dead motherboard. Just random joints together and all. Nothing has to make sense, but just get accustomed to your soldering iron and everything like that if you're getting into hardware repairs and modifications and all that stuff.
Yeah, definitely get a feel for it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. There's the Fry's Electronics, like Dope Stoner said, you can get all these cool little kits, and if you break it, it's no big deal. They have a couple extra components in it, and you can just have a field day. That's what I always recommended.
The thing that just breaks my heart with those kits is I priced some out recently, and they are so damn expensive.
They are. I would agree. Like, I've seen the lowest, I think, is around $13-20, but that's still...
Yeah, and I even see some decent ones are like $45, so I'm like, dude, I can get a cheap computer and all the components I need for about that same price.
Right, for sure. You can get nowadays Xbox modding is actually like you can get an old 360 console for like $30 or a little less that works actually, and you can work on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at this point in the game, it's definitely price on everything. Has dropped so much with the next gen consoles being out, and there being just such a vast survey of old last gen consoles kind of just floating around.
Oh, of course.
But yeah, with you said PS1 is kind of like when you started getting into modding stuff, and
and that was just learning how to use boot disks and all that stuff. I didn't do any actual like hardware tampering, like any actual soldering or anything like that. Well, I did some when I was like late high school, but I actually bricked a few PS1s, so I was kind of shy of soldering for a while. But then I talked with Johnny a few years ago, and then I had, it was one of those things. Actually, I had some wires. I had a JTAG 360 that I got for $5, and the thing worked, but it was one of those things where it's like, well, I did my research, I looked up some things and all that stuff, and I'll go ahead and give this a shot, and if I break it, I paid $5 for it. If I get it working, fantastic.
Yeah, it's not really a big hit if you don't get it working correctly.
Exactly.
Yeah, but for me again, like we've talked about this in other episodes, but I've always been into modding per se, but I just, other than like a Game Shark, and some basic like cheat codes, never really had done much with it up until current, or like not current, but Xbox 360, my whole YouTube thing, and honestly, at the time, I would say one thing if you're looking to get into modding, there's such a big under my like analytics, the demographics of people watching my videos are anything from like 11 years old to 40, 50 years old. So my thing is if you are young, just know that it definitely is going to cost some money. And I mean, again, there are cheaper ways to go about it, and you don't have to spend an arm and a leg. But I will say that my first year roughly of modding, I was working at McDonald's, and honest to God, I'd say about 50% of my paychecks went to just picking up tools and better equipment and just bundles of consoles. And I broke a fuckload of things. Like I mean, I don't know because again, I had no prior soldering experience, and I didn't do what I just said to do by picking up stuff to practice on. I just kind of went ham, like balls to the wall, just fuck it, and definitely don't do that. But I'm just saying that you definitely should have at least some kind of a little bit of money put together, just for the initial startup cost and stuff like that.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, one big thing I see with a lot of people, which I understand because I've been in this situation. I understand, like, I'm 22 right now, but I've been in that situation where, you're 12 to 14, and really the only money you might see is money between birthdays and holidays, and that's about it. So I can understand how $30, $40 might be a lot of money, but that's the problem with it as well, too. A lot of these tools do cost quite a bit, and you'll have to, put some money towards them. So a lot of people, they just want to do stuff for free, and there is a good amount of stuff that you can do for free or really cheap, but there's also some other more advanced things you might want to do, and you might have to get some specific toolkits for it, like, for example, NAND programmers, anything like that, that's going to break the bank a little bit.
Johnny, when it comes to you, when you started off, was 360 pretty much? I mean, I know you did like radio, I believe, work or something like that in the past, but like, I mean, in terms of actual like building and messing with things, was 360 where you originally started, or did you have other stuff before that?
I was fortunate, like when I was about 12 years old, I started an amateur radio, and that's where everything started for me for soldering or soldering, as some of you would like to say. It started then, and then I worked my way up building little boards for what they call repeaters for amateur radio. It's like where you talk on a little handheld into this radio thing, and then it repeats the signal. That's where I got my foundation for like chips and modding and stuff like that, if you will, because you can tweak the audio on repeaters and do all kinds of stuff. That's pretty cool with the little micro ICs. But what really like that's where I started and got all my foundation from. But I was still a little like how do I say it, goofy. Like I was it's funny how we're recommending you to start with something used, something that's not yours. But when I first got into Xbox modding, I wanted to put my games on my hard drive, and I wanted to do Call of Duty modded lobbies.
Yeah.
So
like everyone else.
Like everyone else. I'm like the only person who wanted a glitch system for homebrew.
I wanted mine was for Call of Duty for sure too.
That's like 95% of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So I thought I ruined my Jasper, my Elite system when I first got it. It wouldn't boot, and it wouldn't like I couldn't do anything with it. But yeah, I started out super early. 12 years old, I guess, is when I started doing that. But I learned a ton, like we're saying here, like Google, YouTube, breaking stuff. But to be honest with you, this may sound weird. Some of you guys may have a dad or a family member that does plumbing. But I understood how flux and solder worked from my dad, like plumbing, when I was a little kid.
Really? Can you elaborate on that?
It's okay. So we live in upstate New York. We're in an old farmhouse, and we always had to replace pipes at least once every winter because our house is just old. So I loved hanging out with my dad because he did all these cool things like mechanics, plumbing, like woodwork, just all kinds of cool stuff. So he would just, like I would hang out with him and watch him cut the pipe, sand it down, flux it, and then sweat the pipe. It's sweating, soldering, if you will. And that's where I was like, oh, okay. So that's how it worked. That's where I got my knack for like doing all this stuff like modding and like reflow stuff and heat and all that. Like my dad taught me that when I was a little kid, pretty much. So
okay.
That's where that came from.
Huh. Because, well, Daniel, you said you had something kind of like that as well, too, except it was a bit of the opposite, where when you got into modding, you were just like, well, if I could, modify and crack open a game system, I could do the same to a car. It's just going to be bigger.
Yeah, I think that it just basically... I mean, things seem so complicated when you look at it from the outside.
They seem really intimidating, too.
Exactly.
Car's huge.
But once you get inside and you kind of just understand this is that, this does that, this is why it does that, and then it's not so intimidating anymore. You know what I'm saying? It just made me like want to see how things work, and then as you start to actually understand things, it's really exciting to like actually look at something, and before even like having anyone say anything, like, you can kind of see a little bit of what's going on. Like, to me, that's a pretty cool feeling.
It is, and that's part of the thrill too. Like, actually, even with that, one of my good friends, he's really into cars and all that stuff and car audio. So with him, doing a lot of that stuff's pretty easy. So, for example, he hooked up my subwoofers and everything and helped me with my sound system in my car. And that stuff, I'm kind of terrified of working on because, firewalls, drilling in a car, batteries, like it makes me nervous. But when it comes to other things, like, for example, I've modified his systems, and I'm able to do those with ease. So he didn't really see, like, he was actually impressed at that. And, like, even his Slim, like, he had seen me modify that where I was just flashing the drive on there. But, I had to line up the chip on there because it was a wind bond, that was it, and I had to go in while the chip is on, while the drive is on, and go in and slowly drill it and everything. And that's stuff that he would not be able to do, or he could, but he's just really intimidated by that. So it's kind of one of those things you kind of just have to get used to being uncomfortable in some situations with that to really learn.
Yeah, definitely, I would agree. That's huge, actually. Just what you guys are saying, like, I'll kind of relate that to my aviation. Like, it seems like so intimidating, but once you go through it at least once or like 3 times maybe, you'll feel really comfortable. Just everyone always says this, and I always get frustrated because I like learning really fast. But like, give it time and some repetitiveness. Like, just spend some time with it, and you'll naturally get better. Like, so don't be upset with yourself if you're like getting into this and like. But then, oh boy, there's so many things to talk about on this. That's interesting.
A lot of this stuff, it's not only, go ahead, speak your heart out, but some of the stuff you almost start like contradicting as well too. And it's like, I'm not trying to, but because we even said a bunch of times, like, this is what you should do. We didn't do it like that, but it's almost like we're trying to tell you all, learn from our mistakes.
Yeah, definitely. And boy, like, over time, you'll get real used to it. And it's kind of a building process. You'll be, oh, I need this. Like, just what Dope Stoner said. I need this, I need that. Oh, okay, now I got that. Okay, I'm square.
And it just starts making sense. And then it's even just like, it's something that you can't explain. I mean, I can't explain it, but it won't make sense to someone until they cognitively, recognize it and go through the effort and everything.
Yes.
But it becomes one of those things where just modifications and projects and all that start to blend together. It could be something that you've never worked on or a platform that you've never been comfortable with. But if you've done so many other types of projects and modifications, you'll be like, oh, this is logically what I should do. I should do this. Let me try this. Let's see what's going on here.
I mean, for example, for me, it's like, I mean, I went from consoles to 3D printer to building a CNC machine. Like, what the fuck, I mean, like, that's a very interesting transition, and I can sure as hell tell you that if I hadn't started with 360 modding, that none of this would be in my room, or none of this would be something I'd be part of. It kind of like, again, you grow, and it opens up a whole new world of possibilities in terms of electronics and gaming, and just, I mean, really, whatever. It kind of shows you, like, if you want to do something with enough time, practice, and patience, you can do it, really.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing I will say before we progress here is that don't let other people get you down with this. You're going to have, like, some folks that are like, oh, what, you didn't know that, man? Or just rest at ease. Like, please give yourself some time, like these 2 gentlemen are saying, to let yourself grow and, like, experience this. Like, one thing that bummed me out when I was terrified of TX forums. I'll let you guys know that if I came into the forum,
to be honest, there's a lot of assholes on there.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Recently,
yeah.
I think Team Executor, if you go on there, because Daniel and we actually talked about this in another
I
episode.
called them douchebags in one of our
I
episodes.
remember that.
You
That was
said,
hilarious.
Oh, you said a lot more than that.
I think I said, like, FAG, and then I felt bad afterwards because, like, I shouldn't use that word.
Yeah. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
No,
seriously.
but what I was gonna say, it was not. It's just I was telling Dano, and I've said in a previous episode that now it's not as toxic, and that's because like most of the people who are part of TX have been inactive. So it's like now you go to the forum, it's like, why am I not being cussed out? Oh, wait a minute, like this person hasn't been online for 6 months.
Yeah. Just with anything with modding, getting into either computers or modding consoles or anything like that, just try to, I don't know, take a grain of salt with whatever some toxic guy is saying. Like, you'll eventually get there and be, as good as you want to be. Like,
But
that's
but
all I got
what,
to say.
but what would you say to rebuttal that toxicity, or what would make it better, or anything like that? Because I mean, I've not only seen it on forums, I've also seen it on YouTube as well too, where somebody will post up a question or something, and then I'll see a response by someone else, who's just like, "Wow, you're absolutely fucking clueless, aren't you? Why do you have this hardware?" It's like, no, that's not how you handle it. They maybe should have looked this up, but this isn't how we grow people.
I don't
Yeah.
think that there's any way to go against it other than, I mean, obviously you can stand up for people, like, just like in the real world. But I mean, honestly, just like in the real world as well, you've got assholes all over the place. The best thing you can do is not feed their
Yeah.
flame, essentially.
Just
Just ignore it.
Yeah.
So just grow a thick skin.
Yeah, they're the ones with the problems. So then go
Yeah,
fuck themselves. Just do your thing.
over time, some people are going to be upset that I say this, but some of the guys that are toxic about this are actually kind of like, you can excel further than they can. Like
Oh yeah.
they just have a cap, if you will. Like when they just stand at that point and they're like, "Wow, man, you freaking noob." I don't know. I just honestly, I've got a bad temper, so when anyone ever freaks out on me or says, "Wow, Johnny, this has been out for 6 months already. What the hell are you doing?" I'm just like, denied, or
Yeah.
just ignore, delete, or something. I'm just like, "Yo, dude, like."
Yeah, I've got a pretty fat zero tolerance policy though at this point. Honestly, like, no, I'm serious. Like before, it kind of whatever, but now I'm at the point where like if someone just leaves like a really fucked up comment, like block, I don't give a shit. Like I don't care. Delete, block, have a nice
Yeah,
life.
don't pay attention to that.
Yeah.
People will.
The funny thing is, I actually used to be more strict about it.
I know what you're saying there, man. Lately though, I really haven't cared. Like if someone goes like, "Yo, like you're bad, man," I'm like, whatever, dude. Like, I have my viewers. Like not like see, not all of you that are modding are gonna have viewers on YouTube, but I'm just saying.
Viewers on a thread post or anything
Yeah,
like that, or
something.
whatever community
Yeah.
you're a part of. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be critics everywhere, so part of that growing process is really just, just go with it, man. Just do you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A little bit of money, time invested. Don't pay attention to the people that are like freaking out, like, "Oh my god, you don't know." It's like, man, you guys all, both of you know what it's like when you just have a spark of interest. All of a sudden, you find something you like. You're like, "Holy crap, that seems so cool!"
Yeah,
Like to this
definitely.
day, it's still like when you see it. I know both of you have this. Like you see a console somewhere, and you're like, "Holy crap, I would love to put a chip in that right now," or
Yeah.
something.
I can
Yeah.
make it better.
Yeah.
You kind it's like an internal like geek out alarm that goes off of. You're like it's just potential.
Dude, I'm the type. I'll put it like this. I'm the type of person when I'm sitting next to someone on an airplane. Like if I see something that interests me, I'm like, "Excuse me, what type of phone is that?" And I'll just start talking phones with them.
Yeah, definitely.
I do that a pretty decent amount, even at my bar, dude. Like,
Oh man, that's gotta be fun.
yeah, it is pretty fun, man. Like, I'll meet some people that come in there, and you will never expect it. And like, all of a sudden, like, we're talking about fucking Counter Strike, and I'm like, really, dude? You're like 40 years old. Like, you seem like a kind of a dickhead, and like now we're like on a good terms. And like, I just added you on Steam, so we'll play later.
I think one of my biggest surprises was this was at work about a year or two ago, but there was one PhD student at the time who was asking a question about a computer, and I had to look in it, and she was like, "Okay, well, can you explain this to me?" So I had to like go at like low level detail, not like dumb it down, but low level, as in like I went to and I explained like what firmware was and everything, and she was genuinely interested. I'm like, I didn't think you'd be the type of person to be interested in this. I thought you just wanted the computer fixed, but here now I'm lecturing you on all this stuff.
That's cool. That's a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah, definitely.
One huge thing I will add to people that want to get into it all, like how Johnny Guns was talking about, don't like basically let haters bring you down or put you down and discourage you, is don't let failure put you down
Yes.
or discourage you, because to be perfectly honest with you, the chance of you actually succeeding on the first try is really, really slim. And I know that like for those of you that watch the videos on our channels, like everything just looks so probably perfect and cut. Well,
Yeah, no, trust us. It took us a while to get to that point.
One, the camera doesn't show everything behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? We edit out the parts where you drop a soldering iron and accidentally burn something, or do something stupid, the stuff like that. And I've destroyed, like I said, a ton of things. So
Same, man.
if you break something, take it as a learning experience. Step back, look at, okay, this is what happened. Next time, do something, try something a little bit differently until you get it. Again, with enough prior research, hopefully those amount of mistakes will be minimal. But it's not a matter of if, it's just when you will make a mistake. It's gonna happen. I mean, I again, like, I made a big mistake on my Xbox the other day, and I've been, I've been messing with this stuff for years now. So it's just
for anybody that might not have seen that video, would you mind explaining that?
Yeah, I mean, basically, I had my Xbox One that I like tricked out cosmetically. I added a window, I added LED to the front, added a bunch of LEDs inside. I took off the disc tray cover. I mean, it looked pretty badass, and I was messing around with the antenna or receiver for the controller because it was not getting good signal, and I had opened. I had the console opened up, and I guess that I had like somehow bumped or did something like with the cable near the or the power cable for the disk drive. I'm sorry. And the console, when I turned it on, I saw smoke rise out of my console.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, not a lot, but a little bit. And whenever you see any kind of smoke rising from a console, just tuck your head in between your legs and But yeah, basically, I mean, it fried either.
You're making me want to check my fire extinguisher right now.
Yeah, right. So basically, though, I can only play at this point in the game like digital downloads now on my Xbox, which I don't care too much because it's literally a paperweight for me in general, and I just got it to dick around with. But I'm just saying though, like that is a stupid mistake, or something stupid that happened. Where again, like I've been making these videos I've been doing this for like 5 years now, and that's why I actually made a video uploading telling you that I did something stupid and fucked up my Xbox, because I wanted to share that, hey, like shit happens. I did this too, So back to what I was saying though, just again, be prepared for failure, and don't take it as like I can't do this, or I suck. Like, take it as like, okay, didn't work the first time, do some more research, come at it from a different angle, and give it another go.
Yeah, definitely.
What would you all? I want to know what you guys do on this. Like, let's say there's some that you're trying to tackle. Like, I myself, soldering was my big thing. I really wanted to do it, and I was just at such a roadblock where I was like, I've done it before, and I've messed up my hardware and all that stuff, and I can't do it. I can't do it. But eventually, I tried working on it again, and I was able to. Now I could solder pretty damn well, honestly. But when you all get to, you feel like a roadblock, and you keep trying to, you just keep trying on whatever it is, and no matter what, it just seems like, you've tried this 4 or 5 times and you keep failing at it. What do you guys do realistically at that point?
Take a break. Take a small break, maybe a day. And like you both have been saying, you do a little more research on it. But like you both said, check a different angle, but take a little break. Like, go out with your girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever, or hang out with your parents, or something fun that gets your mind off it for a little bit, just so you get a reset. It's kind of like in college, there's a thing where you type an essay, and then you go away, and then you come back and read it when you're not even thinking in essay mode or modding mode, and you're like, holy crap, that's wrong. Like, this is wrong, that's wrong, I should have been doing this. So that's one thing I do, is take a little break. In this case, I've been on break for 6 months. So,
so sometimes it's a vacation.
Yeah.
Yes. Hiatus.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That sometimes the problem can be staring you right in the face, and you're just so like square-eyed that you're not seeing something that's so obvious. Which again, when actually installing chips, I've done that before too. Where like, why isn't it working? And then you come back and like, oh shit, the wire's not even soldered to the right spot, or like something crisscrossed, or stuff like that happens. And honestly, like, as much as I don't like giving up, and I don't want to say give up, I mean, in terms of like reballing, which is just something Johnny Guns can do because he's a god. But I mean, I had a machine in my garage for like about a year's time, and I spent, I mean, the amount of hours and times and consoles that I went through trying to reball, I actually eventually ended up just throwing in the towel. And not that I'm never going to go back to it. And again, not that I think that giving up is a good thing. I had to be real with myself, and currently with my knowledge and what I had going on, it was not working. So I'm not saying to give up, but I'm just saying is that there's times where like maybe for certain things like it's actually better to like outsource or
invest time elsewhere.
Service. Yeah. So that's all I'm really getting at with that.
Do you think that'd be something that you realistically come back to?
I'd like to.
Okay.
Yeah, my dream is once I have my own place to set up both a pretty solid like gameplay / recording studio, along with like my uncle has he's an electrical technician and engineer. He has a lab in his house, and so I'd like to have like a designated lab where things are a little bit more organized, and I could just go at it, and even with like honestly with the degree I'm going in, I wouldn't be too surprised if I learned more with my classes that help me with knowledge towards actually being able to read ball one day.
I'll actually say this. I had when I was in computer science, I had one introduction to computer engineering course. And the funny thing was, before I took that course, or right at the beginning of that course, I'd actually reset glitched my first system. Now, I kind of supervised it. Because I couldn't solder at the time, my buddy's dad installed all the stuff, and then I did the software. But, I'd looked at the schematics, I'd showed him everything, and we had to work on, some JTAG boards and everything like that in that class. And all that stuff made a little more sense to me than other people because I had done that reset glitch mod about a month or two before.
Well, I've heard from people actually, like older people that have gone to school for engineering and things like that, that for sure some of at least the entry courses to even potentially intermediate would be relatively easy for me just because of the knowledge that I'm bringing, prior to even taking these classes, which are things that not everyone that's going to school or that's interested in these things has actually dabbled with it outside necessarily,
Oh, of course.
you know. So yeah, definitely, it's interesting, and I mean, like I've talked about this too, but it really is crazy how this something like video game modding, which to a lot of people that aren't really into it, it just sounds. I mean, honestly, like I'm gonna be real, like it sounds silly to a lot of people when I talk to them about it.
It
They don't
does.
know, they're not interested, But all I'm saying is that um, I have gotten more out of doing this than like anything else I've ever done in my life. Like the amount of just knowledge and friends I've
Yeah.
gained, and just the overall experience of it, man. Like I couldn't trade it for the world, and it's something so random, but it's been the most rewarding thing ever.
I'll say this: there's been two things. So, because it's pretty rare now, but there's been a few times where people say, you're wasting your time and money modding and doing all this stuff. You should be doing something better. Well, first off, I've learned quite a bit with this. That's helped me, indirectly with other things like computer repair, anything like that. So, I'm the repair person when it comes to family and friends. But second, I'll probably speak on this in a later video or something. Modding helped me get my past two internships and my job here. So, I can't say anything bad about that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's how modding. Believe it or not, guys, modding helped me get into Apple retail. Like when I worked there for almost 2 years. Like some of the questions they asked and just how responding to customers. That's another thing. If we may not talk about it on this video about acquiring customers or making this into a business, but like yeah, it's definitely like it's gotten me customers from when I was in aviation and Apple and understanding like a little bit more in depth beyond the superficial, realm that everyone usually is like, oh, operating system, or they don't even know what that is. But it's definitely helped me like with all of that.
Of course, there's a lot of things that will directly and indirectly influence you if you really get into it, as much as we have. And there's actually been a lot of people I've seen who they work more on the software side, where I enjoy
Yeah,
some of the more basic things, kind of like firmware things like that. Well, that's not even basic, but like firmware, NAND modifications, things like that, and then even hardware. I've dabbled into that as well too, and I've really enjoyed it. But there's people I've seen where for example, they'll be writing their own programs, or like with Xbox Live, they have Xbox Live Stealth, and there's people who are coding things on there, coding up their own homebrew. And there's people who are able to get jobs and go back to school and excel at all that stuff because, they were messing around with their video game system. They wanted to do something that they couldn't originally do with the factory stock firmware. And they taught themselves coding.
yeah, yeah. It's definitely a great gateway tool.
It's to be perfectly honest with you too. I mean, I feel that not necessarily. I'm not talking about like people that just own G tags because they bought them for game modding or whatever, COD modding or whatever that's
And
for.
if that's all you do, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I just pretty much at the end of the day, I pretty much just have my JTAGs for running games off hard drives and import players.
But yeah, basically what I'm saying is that people, like in my opinion, the people that are actually like really into game modding and do like mess around with soldering and chip install stuff like that, like honestly, like I mean, not to like toot my own horn, but like I feel like it's like relatively impressive. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like it's kind of to be able to do that and to do actually have an interest in that. I feel like it's a certain type of person. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
they're definitely like tech savvy people that I feel like most of them have either interest in electronics or I mean maybe it is just the gaming side of it, but I don't know. I feel like most
No,
people,
I
if
would
you're
agree.
actually once you're going to be installing it, you actually have like an interest in how the whole fundamentals of it all works.
Exactly.
Yeah, I really agree with that 100%. Like, gosh, and also on top of that, like, it's kind of like a brotherhood thing too. On top of, being that person, like, look, us three here, like, we became friends over this,
That's
like,
true.
over YouTube. Like, it's interesting. Like, yeah, I would agree with that statement.
Yeah, I love you
It,
guys.
I
Yeah,
love you too.
you guys are awesome, man. Yeah,
You guys
I
are awesome.
I
Oh, well, thanks.
honestly, literally, like when I was thinking about my like normal like day to day and like people I talk with and stuff like that, like aside from work and school, people I talk to, like most of the people like that I'm talking to or like texting or playing with like games, like they're people from online that I've met. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So like that's just me, and like I like it. I like it that way. I mean, they're really cool
Yeah.
people that I can talk with about anything, and I mean, it's awesome. Like both you guys have been there for me. I mean, like Johnny Guns years ago, used to talk to me about all sorts of stuff, and I mean, it's just great. Like everything that comes along with it. So, again, I guess like this is like off topic from how to get started, but I guess what we're getting at is that
You don't know where it's gonna go.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly,
man.
yeah,
Yeah.
the opportunities and the like potential just things that you're going to.
I'll say this.
Endless.
There's some things I haven't spoken on either because they're private and I'll reveal them, at later dates, or because if I say them, people might flat out call me a liar, like a liar, and say, I'm trying to get views or whatever. But I'll put it like this, it's not going to happen to everyone, but there could be, some unbelievable things that will happen, and you might rub shoulders with certain people. So it really depends. You don't know what the hell is going to happen with your life. You don't know what's going to, go down. But modding is definitely, a fun pathway to go down. As long as you could make it your life if you want to. It really depends if you want to do that. Personally, I've always seen it as a pretty interesting hobby, and it's something that I've always come back to. Like, I was bitten with it. It was originally I came from computers, so I was messing around with computers when I was younger, mostly software, everything like that. Just trying to repair them and everything. And then it kind of got to the point. It was just a spark of curiosity that sparked within me. It was originally, I remember, I had tried to copy a PlayStation 1 game, and I put the burned copy in my PlayStation 2, and I got that red screen that said, you need to put in a game that is a PS1 or 2 format disc. And I kind of questioned it. I'm like, well, all the data is on there from the other game, and it should be a PlayStation game, but why isn't it working? And, I kind of just put it on the back burner for a few years, but when I came back to it, that's when, I learned about, circumvention, of DRM, anything like that, anti-piracy, how mod chips work, just things like that.
Yeah, that's really interesting, man. Yeah, definitely. Like you were saying, just coming back to it. Like I've been out of it for a couple months now, almost a year or whatever. And it's just it's nice to come back to it, like you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like fixing systems. I think that's another thing too. That modding also.
Let's go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah,
if you want to get into repair, or if you're
yeah,
trying to
like,
repair your system, what should you do?
I firmly believe that if you're going to mod systems, you should also spend the time in repair. That's actually what I first got into Xbox modding. Actually, other than the hard driving games, but I realized that was valuable. I was like, well, crap. There's all these units. There's got to be. I thought in my head, like when I first got like these systems, and all my friends were red ringing and all that. I'm like, there's got to be a way to repair these without sending them back. I've always been this kind of guy.
I want to ask you this. The first thing you did you take apart the system and you overheated it and then you put the screws and washers on there?
I did not. I did not.
Really?
I did.
Because that's what I did.
Yeah, I did too.
It worked. It worked though. Like for the people that did do that.
Yeah. The first system I ever repaired still works. I don't recommend it, everyone. I do not recommend doing that.
Bad,
but
bad. From my videos, if you guys watch any of my rework videos, I freak out. I'm like, oh guys, please don't do the bolt mod, please. You know what you're doing? You're actually bowing the bottom of your board out, and you're actually like messing and delaminating like surface traces and stuff like that. Just don't do it.
And then see what I hate is that there's people that are just like, oh well, I did it to my system 4 years ago and it still works.
It still works. I mean, yes, granted. I mean, maybe the board's a little better shaped than the other ones, but oh gosh, that's like I said, get into repairing somewhat. Well, this is how it started out. I don't mean to go on a tangent here, but
no, go ahead.
Like I figured, my one friend on Facebook, like I'm IRL friends with this guy, and he goes like, dude, like to fix them, you put tinfoil on all the components, and then you heat up with a heat gun on all these components.
Oh, and because they were trying to pretty much do like a whole reflow.
A whole board reflow. And I've been doing research on the internet, and it made me like that made me mad. I'm like, no, there's better ways than this. So I went on the internet and I found out about BGA reworking. And
Okay.
that's when I literally, my brain went on like rapid fire mode, like, or, calculation. I'm like, oh, if I can do this, if I can only spend $1,400, I can make almost a living repairing these game consoles. So then someone just tosses a board out and they're like, "Oh, it's garbage, $10." And then you bring it back, then you mod it, then you resell it for $150. Like that's where that's why I got so crazy about modding and repair.
We're gonna have to turn the business of things into a whole nother episode.
Yeah, yeah. Oh gosh.
Yeah, yeah. Well, definitely. That's definitely something interesting that we'd like to have. You all let us know in the comment section if you'd like an episode like that as well. But going back to the repair thing here.
Yeah, just learn how to repair if you damage something. That's very valuable. Like getting into modding.
Yeah,
It's
but
funny.
but what if you don't? Oh, go ahead, Daniel.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, listening to what Johnny Guns just said, I can definitely say, as much as I wanted to learn how to repair as well, and mine was a little bit different. I actually met a guy off Craigslist who got me into Xbox repairs because I bought an Xbox off of him and saw he had like a AU, little hand wand air station. Is basically, though, once I learned how to mod, the idea or the dream for me as an 18-year-old kid busting my ass working at McDonald's going to community college was I could not bust my ass and work at McDonald's and maybe just go to school and be my own boss and buy and like you said, buy $20 console, repair it, and JTAG it or flash it or whatever, and then sell it. I mean, I did that for a year on Craigslist, and I loved it. Like it was awesome. That was really cool. So that also that dream or that like envision in my head was definitely a certain level of motivation.
Hmm. Now, how much would you all recommend those? Because neither of you guys do that now.
You mean
What's
the hot air ones?
Well, no, like I don't know if you all do repairs as often, but I know you guys don't do business on Craigslist or do like business as much as you used to do.
I would. Oh, go ahead,
for it,
man.
Johnny. No, you can start off.
I was just going to say, business wise, like what the best way to get business, if we're going to talk about this real fast, the best way is once you get it down to where you feel, okay, I'm pretty good at this. I can do it. Every system is, like 100%. It's solid. It boots well. Customers want a fast booting system and they want the turnaround time pretty fast. So the best way to do that is market yourself on YouTube. It's free. It's pretty safe too, and get a verified PayPal account. People like when you send them an invoice, and it's not just me like, yo, what's your credit card number, bro? Like, yo, I need them digits.
Send me your driver's license.
Yeah.
Mario.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, quick ways to get into it is verified PayPal account. Put your work on YouTube. Like a lot of guys, like all of us do this. Everyone knows you on YouTube. That's where people look. Like honestly, like that's like the market. I mean, eBay is terrible. Don't do that. And Craigslist can work, but it's all mainly like PayPal and YouTube. You can do it that way. That works actually pretty well.
But do you feel like with YouTube though? Because I mean, again, when you were doing it too, you did have an audience. So do you think that like could be a pretty big factor though in
It
terms
is.
of because
It is.
otherwise you're just a random person with no.
Well, we all started as random people.
Yeah, but I wasn't doing repairs at the beginning.
I guess that's true.
Yes,
I didn't
yes.
start offering repairs till I was probably at least 1,000 to 2,000 subscribers in. I mean, I would say to be perfectly honest with you, at least closer to 1,000. I had built at least the trust of quite a few people through my consistent videos.
But then, see, here's the thing also, like, how would you all find, reliable information, everything on that? Because, as I said, I was one of those people I actually believed, and the thing that sucks is, like, you could go to a website and look up, like, the Team Executor Red Ring Revival Kit, and I swear, like, I know, Johnny and I talked about this.
Please don't buy that.
Yeah, don't buy it, but no, Johnny and I talked about this, and I know how bad that is. Like, I know the damage it can cause to the system, just because I've had that preliminary knowledge. But even one day I went there and I read through the description and I was like, I'm kind of thinking of buying one because they do a really good job marketing this.
Yes.
So for a lot of people, and I know a lot of people that have bought those kits or they've done, the bolt mod, anything like that. I've done that. Other people have done that. Like, where exactly would you find all that stuff, the proper information? Because for me, I'll say this, I did that first, and then I had learned, my boss at the time when I was working at a game shop, he was doing repairs and he had told me about how bad it was. And then I had found some information on YouTube, and then I found, some information on forums. But he also had a equal amount of people who were saying, no, the bolts are just fine.
Oh.
That's tough. Because like you said too. I mean, Johnny, you said you didn't do that, but for me too at the beginning, that's what I knew was just basically. I mean, I think I tried. I didn't do the towel trick, but I did do once like where you just shove some shit in the fans and like literally let it overheat and then turn it off and do that. I
Gotcha.
do. I do remember doing that at one point. Um, and then again, even when I was doing like the reflow, everyone had their own different profiles. I wasn't using any type of like temperature gauge at the beginning. It was just like timing and like, so it's tough. Like in terms of working with that kind of stuff, like that's just electronics. Like you need to study electronics in order to actually be able to repair stuff correctly. Because I mean, like my uncle doesn't know a damn thing about Xbox 360s, but he knows electronics and then he repairs them and works on them and designs and builds circuit boards and stuff. And so obviously he's way more advanced, but I'm just saying like he could fix and find the problem without knowing shit about the Xbox per se. You know what I'm saying? Like just by knowing electronics. So I think that starting off, you're not going to be knowing that kind of advanced stuff, but at the same time, like using logic from like an outsider's perspective now, or from my perspective, like, okay, this thing does not work. There's fans in it for a reason to keep the components cool. They need to stay cool. If I shove some shit in here and this thing overheats, what part of that sounds like a good fucking idea? You know what I'm saying?
And that's kind of even thinking back. That was my thing as well. I'm like, how does overheating the system? Because when you overheat the system, it's supposed to turn off because that's bad. But how does overheating the system fix it? If that fixes it, what is the point in shipping it back to Microsoft?
Exactly. It
Well,
just if it doesn't seem to make sense to you, it's probably because it's not right. You know what I'm saying? Like go with your gut. I mean, don't always go with your gut, but like in a situation like that, and like also the fucking towel trick. Like, are you kidding me? Like, let's get a beach towel, bro, and wrap our console in it. Yeah, like
yeah, like
no, go ahead.
oh,
Go
for
ahead.
those of you that don't know that are watching this video, like essentially a lot of you guys that are working on systems right now already know this, but essentially back in the day, the heat trick was just to get the components really hot enough so it'd melt their ball grid array. Look that up on Google right now, ball grid array. Each the GPU or graphics processor chip is the main culprit of these units red ringing. Long story short, just towel trick and bolt mod is trying to reconnect those solder balls back to the board. But oh gosh, if you guys know anything about chips, which both of you do, like if they're excessively heated or they're like you're frying, you're taking life off those chips.
You
So
are. Yeah, no.
man.
The reason why I was just sitting there, like, kind of laughing to myself was because my, no, my first manager I had, he swore by the towel trick, and just, you guys know about this. You know that you understand the electronics now. So I just want you all to imagine how bad this is. He said what he would do is he would take about 3 towels, wrap them around the 360, turn it on for about 30 minutes, get it like super hot and everything, and then turn it off. He would unplug it, take it outside, put it in the snow, like not like inside the snow, but like it was snowing
Submerged.
outside.
Yeah.
Throw it into 10-degree Fahrenheit weather
Oh,
for
good.
like 20 minutes, and then take it out, and it was fine.
it's magic.
Like
Yeah,
I'm just thinking of the rapid the overheating everything in the system, and then just the rapid cooling, which is like cracking everything.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
Extreme amounts of stress to the console and all the
it'll only last 20 minutes, man.
yeah. That's
Just enough to get it out the door.
Yeah.
I towel tricked a system multiple times, and it worked for about a week,
Yeah.
and then it kept going it got to the point where it worked for about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
It just shortens the life on the GPU, like pretty much, essentially.
Yeah, it's a pretty fantastically awful idea.
It really
Yeah.
is. It's so funny thinking about that now. That was the good fix for like 2006 or so.
Yeah, I wish that I could find the guy that broke his console and was like, let me think, and then he's like sitting there. He just got out of the shower. He's like, towel, Xbox, and then
Oh, man.
yeah, like what a fucking revolutionary thing to do.
Like
and then,
that's what I don't understand. I don't understand how that trick came into fruition, because the bolt mod, for example, I can understand that.
It
Like
makes
when
a little
people,
more sense.
it makes a little more sense because the logic is there's these X clamp things that are on the Xbox,
Yeah.
but most computer hardware uses screws
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So let's put screws on there so it will work, and we'll have a tighter bond with everything else, so it works. But the towel trick makes absolutely no damn sense.
well, I'm saying I wish I can go back to that moment in time where he's sitting there looking at the towel and looking at the Xbox, and then I magically poof poof and like a fucking Houdini genie to save the day, and I'm like, and I grab the towel and just fucking whip him in the head with it, and then it's never a thing. You know what I'm saying?
My name's Albert de Gracio, the great scientist. I know that these components will overheat and melt themselves back together.
Yeah, just like I don't know, just smack the shit out of him before he ever.
But then now here's a challenge. Now there's another modification. I talked about this a bit earlier, but this was the wind bond modification on the Lite-On 16D4S for 360 drives when you're flashing them. There's a wire in there that you have to cut. So this would sound like a BS thing, but in order to flash the drive, you have to, while the drive is on, drill a hole in the main chip on it.
Oh,
wait. So you're saying that what you're saying?
Oh, yeah.
Though, like, would that sound like? Why does that not sound like bullshit?
Exactly.
Some guy was like,
science.
the structure. Yeah, the structure of the, since this wire is causing a connection, which is causing the chip not to be able to be written to, well, just drill a hole. I mean, just get it out of there, man. Just, go ham.
But they're definitely, though, because, I remember reading about that. There was definitely some solid, documentation as to why that does work. You know what I'm saying?
And I've seen that as well, too, and I just want to get your thoughts on that, because I'm like,
Yeah.
when I heard about it, I'm like, wait a minute, aren't you not supposed to drill live electronics?
Yeah. No, it sounds sketchy as all hell, but then in all honesty, we're modding / hacking that is kind of sketchy as all hell. Know what I'm saying? So, but again, I get what you're saying though. Towel sounds crazy, drilling some shit sounds crazy. Even though to me the towel obviously sounds goofier at this point in the game. Why per se is that goofier than like you said drilling a live chip?
Because when you heat up the Xbox for 20 minutes, I can then put the towel on my crotch and it's nice and warm.
Hey, this is true, man. Yeah.
Oh man,
that's solid. Wow.
I will say, guys. After you learn all this modding stuff, it gives you a great creative mind for workarounds. Let me just put it that way.
It does.
If, in real life, when someone's like, "Oh dear, I don't know how to do this certain thing," we have no way of doing it. You're like, "Oh, I got this.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
No problem."
Yep.
Exactly.
It heightens your creativity in a sense.
I'll put it like this. Even I think I mentioned this on a previous episode, but my younger brothers, they're not as much into this anymore, but they were really into Beyblade at one point. And one time, one of them was freaking out because his Ripper got stuck in the Beyblade and it was all messed up. So I looked at this toy. I was like, "Well, it's already broken." And I've never messed with these, but they seem pretty simple. So I opened it up, I was able to take the Ripper out, and then I messed with it for about 5 or 10 minutes, and I was able to fix it up after that. That was something I'd never worked with before, but I had the confidence to do it because I was like, well, damn it, if I could build computers and work on all this other stuff, I can maybe fix this little Beyblade right here.
Well, I've got a random one that's not even nearly cool at all, but I still felt handy. Is at the bar I work at, there's a tri-sink basically with different chemicals to clean the glasses and stuff. Well, you've got basically these sprinklers. They're like sprinklers that stick into the drain, and they give you about a foot or so of water, and anything over that will drain down the pipe. Well, the rubbery part that actually goes into the drain itself, which makes the water seal tight, cracked over time and just broke off. And so the drain was fucked up. One of the drains, no one had any idea of what to do. Well, I was just thinking about stuff, and I was like, okay, this is what we got going on. So I put the cracked piece back on. Then I actually took electrical tape, believe it or not, and wrapped it, then used a lighter to burn the crease. That way it blended it together, and bam, it's been working fine for the past 4 or 5 months now. So
nice.
I'm just saying, as much as that's not electronics, that mentality of let's see what we can do, it definitely came from doing this kind of stuff.
It rips open your mind, man.
Majorly. It's awesome. It is absolutely insane, the amount of stuff that you are willing to take on once you take on stuff that has no relevance whatsoever to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely, man.
I honestly thought you were going to say that you wrapped a towel around it for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Hey, I drilled the hole through it.
Oh man, I got tons of bolts, man. They call me the Bolt Master.
Yeah, dude, I got so many bolts, dude.
I
think I threw all that stuff away.
I still have somewhere in my collection. I still have I had a shrine, a little cup, or those Gladware containers that you get lunch meat in or whatever.
Yeah.
I have a full one of bolts from repairs, bolts from the Xbox bolt thinger.
Oh, you gotta love that.
Oh my gosh. Pardon me.
Ones that you pulled off from repairs? You mean when you got
full, full.
I feel like I remember you showing me in the past actually certain ones that were like extremely like, dude, I got to show you this one. You know, like because they were just like
man.
so.
Yeah, Johnny,
just, like,
what was? I know we're going off on a tangent here. What was that one system? I remember you showed it in a video, and the not the nails, but I guess like the bolts on there were like I don't know, like 8 or 9 inches long or something.
Yes, that is on my channel still to this
Yeah,
day.
they were like the size of my fingers.
Yeah, that long, like freaking, like I don't even know, man. It's huge, like up past the heatsink. I'm like, what the?
I think the worst I've had was I actually bought a system one time where the guy had tried to repair it, and I took it all apart. He kind of scraped off the thermal paste. He didn't put new thermal paste on there. He didn't put an even level of washers with anything, and then he didn't even use washers. It looked like he like tried and he didn't want to leave his house, so he like broke tabs off things and just put them there in the place of washers.
Oh my gosh.
It was one of the most janky things I've ever seen.
That's thug as hell, dude.
Oh man, you guys will see some crazy stuff. Like if you get into the repair, like okay, I shit you not, guys. I had the heatsink. The thermal paste was toothpaste.
Oh.
Oh my god, I had a mouthful of water, that's why I didn't respond instantly, but Jesus Christ.
Oh, that was
I mean, I guess the consistency is somewhat similar.
It is. They're like, yo, dude, what kind of Crest or Colgate?
I've seen a big tube of like generic nasty thermal
like
paste, and it looks like toothpaste.
Mm-hmm. I used to Jesus, yawning here. But I actually ordered a bunch of really cheap shit off eBay one time from China. And the stuff, it really does make a difference.
There's a reason why Arctic Silver 5 is so nice.
Yeah, majorly. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do think that they are charging more than they should be. I really do.
Oh yeah.
You know, but I will say that there was one random time because I did try another random Chinese order of some stuff that compared to Arctic Silver 5, and it actually, believe it or not, was relatively close. Maybe not quite like, I mean, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. So I did use that for quite a while just because of the amount of like price difference it was, because it was just, I was like, fuck, this stuff's so expensive. But honestly, like, especially if you're just like repairing your own stuff or just like you want to just don't cheap out on that shit, man. Like it really makes a difference in terms of.
The only way to get, the only way you'd, what am I trying to say here? I did buy that Chinese stuff, like the flux, or not flux, the thermal paste. And the only reason why, like, you want to buy that, if you are going to buy that, is if you're reworking and you just want to test them real fast, so you don't waste your good stuff when you're finally putting on. That stuff's good for that. But yeah, it's so bad. Like if you were just to use it, you know, it's like half liquid, half like residue
the white stuff, it's not designed for electronics. Well, I mean it is, but it's not designed for something that's supposed to be as hot as a game system is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, usually you see like on North bridges or South bridges or whatever on motherboards, usually that white stuff is on the small chips. Usually.
Yep.
Even another one that I tried out which was also again not nearly as good as Arctic Silver was Dynex. Which was Best Buy's brand.
I've used that, but it was the white stuff, and it was not good at all. It was all runny and all that stuff.
It is white stuff. That's what I'm saying, though. It pretty much is just like the Chinese cheap crap.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm getting at.
At the time, that was the only thing I could buy in town.
Well, I don't get me wrong. I used it for a while too before I made.
Me too. The white stuff, yeah.
I really did. You know, I mean, again, it's
worked.
A lot of it, yeah. A lot of it was trial and error. You know, again, as we went through it, there wasn't necessarily as much information readily available as there is today. But I'm saying though, like it definitely wasn't nearly as good as the Arctic Silver stuff.
Of course.
By any means.
Of course.
And applying that stuff, by the way, like a lot of you guys, I think you have videos of applying it. A real quick side note is if you want, like, I'm not plugging someone like a bigger YouTube channel. I'm not trying to, but Linus Tech Tips has a lot of good information on computer stuff that can translate over to like
oh shit,
modding, like how to apply thermal paste and all kinds of neat stuff. I just thought I'd mention that. He's got some interesting, like, I guess the mechanics of it.
That was actually something that was really funny was how to apply thermal paste, like in terms of
like the redneck way.
Yeah, well, no, I'm just saying, like, not doing too much because, like, it's like a fucking grain of rice, dude.
Yeah,
and, like,
it really spreads out. Don't do it like I used to. I used
Yeah,
to spread it out with my finger.
Yeah.
The chips.
Yeah,
I thought
I know. I actually did that quite a few times as well. Before, I think in the end I was using just like a little spreader, like tool type thing that,
yeah, me too. Like,
yeah, did really neatly. But
Nah, what I was doing was I actually learned, at least with the Xbox, you could just put some like the grain of rice type thing on there, just put like a circle on that, and then just press the heatsink down.
yep, yep. Yeah, it definitely works the best, honestly. Even
Yeah,
when you think it's too little, like it's you look with a flashlight underneath, you can see it all spread out like on the outside of the actual die.
exactly.
Like, oh man.
Yeah,
So quickly, I want to say about getting into this. You've got to like we were talking about money investing. So
yes.
there's a lot of clones out right now that you guys are going to be like, well, shit. Do I want to buy clones?
Yeah, and I was
or
about to say,
whatnot?
like, because Daniel, you just picked up a mod chip, and I know it's a clone of a was it a Matrix mod chip for the PS2, and you can't get those Matrix ones anymore.
yeah, the Modmo, what is it, 4.0? I have it
Yeah,
right
and
here.
it's when we've talked about this too, but it's getting to the point where now, for some of that older stuff, you can't find the legit stuff anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Like clones do work. I will say this from experience. Like there was a point where I had to do a bunch of work for people right after I moved to New York. Clones do work. I've rarely had any problems with them. Once in a while, you'll have one that just doesn't work. It's a dud. But you may have to do it that way. Also, I want to say get yourself some good flux and a good soldering iron. I recommend Hako. People will say it's Hako, but it's Hako. So quickly invest some money into a good soldering iron, some good flux. RMA 218 is what I use for everything. King Bow RMA 218, and then experiment. I mean, the chips are so cheap. Like you guys would agree with me, they're so cheap right now that you can like pick them up off eBay for a couple bucks or China or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to get into it, I mean, the thing that's sad right now, you guys would agree, is that the dual NAND area, people love dual NAND. That's
Yeah.
one thing where you can actually get into, like where console does offline, online. The sad thing is you can't get the chips anymore, and Xbox Live is going to be discontinued from the Xbox 360 next year sometime. I think.
Was that confirmed?
Oh,
I really don't think so.
I think I heard it from, it was somewhere like my good friend, I'm going to plug him right now, but Coleman's Modern Repair, he and I talked a lot about that. If you guys want to confirm it or look it up for me, but that's another thing. We may have to confirm it here before we're done with our episode here, but
Yeah, I'm looking up well, that was from 2 years ago, but
Yeah.
no, somebody said this was rumors where they said the Xbox 360 won't be discontinued until 2016. Microsoft won't drop support because no, they're going to drop that thing for a while. Well, not drop, they're going to keep it up for a while.
yeah, I agree. I'm just saying, like, possibly if that's a rumor, then like that's
'Cause
good.
they're going to discontinue the consoles before they take down the servers.
Okay, that makes sense. I don't know a lot about that,
Yeah,
but
the
that's
consoles
kind
are
of a
still
thing to
heavy in
watch out for.
production, and we're almost in 2016.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's just something to think about. Like we're kind of getting near the end of the 360 life cycle, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But you can still do a lot with dual NAND stuff. It's just the problem is finding the dual NAND like executor daemon
Of
and
course.
stuff like that. But that's a good
I
area to get into.
honestly would say, like, don't sweat the dual NAND thing, man. You could get two consoles for so damn cheap right now. Like, why?
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm
That is
saying? And
true.
like, and
It's
then
just
like Mario, you just went on a rant about the whole like Black Ops thing too. It's like, dude, like you can't even get the full fucking game on the 360, dude. Like,
Oh,
it's-
yeah.
no, I'm just saying, like, like again, I like old consoles, like I have PS2s and shit, and like I even older like N64 and retro. But all I'm saying is that I would not be sweating the dual NAND thing. Again, cool concept and still fun to tinker around with if you can get your hands on the right shit. But it's definitely not like as like da 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 as it was when it came out. It came out
Yeah.
at the right time,
It's just as in a business perspective, it yields the most money. That's all I'm saying. Like
okay,
that.
got you.
That's what I do say. What you're saying.
Of course.
Don't sweat it,
Johnny,
Like,
we're just
if you
going to have to do another business episode.
Yes, yes.
We're getting
My
about
bad,
to
my
the
bad.
hour mark here. I think we're
Yeah,
probably
like-
past it, so I kind of want
like-
to start wrapping up here if we could.
Next time I'm gonna be like, Johnny Guns, our financial advisor, is here to.
In business
Yeah.
news, we
Have you guys seen BoJack Horseman?
Like one or two episodes.
Okay, because Johnny could be like Vincent Adult Man on there, where he's just like, I want to do a business here. Business is really good.
Oh,
I'm
like he's so
familiar.
stupid. But, like,
Well,
is he, like,
he's three children dressed up as an adult.
Oh,
wait, he is three children?
Yes.
Jesus. like when you said that too, like I was like, okay, he has 3 children and they're dressed up like adults. But okay, I gotta watch at least a snippet of that.
Great.
No, if you excuse me, guys, I need to go take a shower so I can tell if I'm crying or not.
Yeah. Anyways, Daniel, do you have any advice that you'd give to people? Final thoughts on this?
Oh man, final thoughts is just have fun with it. I really have fun with it. Again, I mean, it's not due to modding, but modding did make me smoke a lot more cigarettes on certain nights than I normally do. I'm just saying.
Oh man, same.
And there was times where I would just
do you even vape, bro?
Do you vape, bro? Vape.
Vapors? No, but I mean, anyways, there was times where I'd literally like call Johnny and just like fucking like ideas or ranting or bitching or just frustrated or just, oh man, there was so many times where I wanted to just like put a bullet through that console.
Oh man, same.
But I'm just saying, at the same time though, the feeling of like actually completing something successfully after all that is just like, I am the man. Like, dude, fucking sitting on top of the world, dude. Like, huge wiener, or like, I don't know, like big boobs if you're a chick. I don't know, man. But I'm just saying, like, you just feel fucking great, dude. Like Cloud9. Like, let's go to Chili's and take mom, my dad, my brother, my cousin, call Uncle Ralph. Like, I'm just saying, like, it's awesome, man. Like, it's have fun with it. Again, at the same time, remember that I mean, maybe it's a job for some people, but for most of us, like, it is a fun thing, so try to keep it that way. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. I guess my concluding remarks would be, as I said, I came into this game thinking if I downloaded something that was 17 RAR files, I'd have to burn 17 discs. So I've definitely come a long way, I'd like to think, at least, but definitely always be open to
I had to.
No worries. Be open to change, be open to challenge, and challenge yourself when it comes to everything. And that might be generic advice. So if people want, things that are more specific, if you're wanting to get into hardware stuff, start looking up things online, and be sure to, for example, if you want to solder, like soldering's been the biggest theme here, or one of the bigger ones, get some old hardware, start working on it, start, just bridging things randomly. You're probably going to suck the first few times you do it, the first few hours you're working on it, but you'll get better, and just, do pet projects and all that, and you might even start to get addicted to it, anything like that. When it comes to software, doing anything, firmware related, anything like that, again, research really helps out. Be sure that you're kind of, up to date with viruses and all as well, too, because something that these modding communities have is a lot of them like to attach rats and other viruses to their programs and everything, so...
I know firsthand about the rats.
Oh, yeah. But, no, just, you're gonna have to be careful with everything, so really just use common sense with that, but also, take breaks and have fun with it as well, too. You're not going to get everything done within a day, but all this knowledge, that myself, Daniel, and Johnny have, we didn't gain this overnight. We've been working at this for years. We've known each other for years at this point, haven't we?
It's been a cool minute.
It has been.
Oh man, that's for sure. I agree.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
My closing statement would be what everyone is saying here is soldering, and I'll give you a couple of places you can look for that. First, you can look at Mr. Mario, Dope Stoner, and myself. You can look at our channels for tips and tricks. Also, if you want a little more in-depth like learning on soldering, there's a YouTube channel called Curious Inventor. They're great for learning how to solder. And like everyone's been saying, have fun. Don't get too down on yourself. Don't be like me. I am really hard on myself. These guys have told me this, and I don't believe it, but I just let it go sometimes. Just like everyone's been saying, have fun with it. Do your research. And don't be afraid to ask questions, even if people are negative, man. Like, just ask questions. But that's only after. Yes, that's after doing your research. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. After you do your research, don't just be like, "Yo, dude, like, I spent 2 seconds on Google and I can't find it." Like, Google in 2015, I can't find it, man. I just don't know what I'm doing.
And don't be like a sketchy tweaker stoner guy either, because that's totally what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Just did like a huge rail of blows.
Oh man, I just can't find it, dude. My hands keep typing. But I can't find it.
Holy shit!
But that's all I have to say, guys. Definitely, you have tons of resources, and ask one of us. I mean, some of you guys are busy, but me, I am just a bum right now. I'm a herm. I'm working on my living room and playing League of Legends, so.
He's literally living the dream.
You are living the
literally,
dream.
like when I die, like that's what I'm hoping heaven's
I don't know
like.
if it's a good dream. It's a dream. No, just kidding. Oh gosh.
Yeah. Well, anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off, and for anybody who is, interested in the podcast, anything like that, if you are on YouTube, you can go ahead and comment down below what you think and any ideas you'd like us to cover, anything like that. If you look in the description, I'm also going to have links to Dope Stoner's YouTube channel as well as Johnny Gunn's YouTube channel, so you can definitely check those guys out. And you can also get the MP3 for this from our Podbean and on iTunes. Finally, if you still want to like for more stuff, just, to get updated quicker and all that other stuff, you can like us on Facebook as well, where we have a ModChat Facebook, which we did a revamp on, but we still need to actually add more content to it.
Are you talking about me? Are you referring towards me?
It's kind of me as well too.
Yeah, okay,
but
good.
I've added more content than you have.
Oh, that's
That's a bullet on this one.
yeah, Johnny. Now, but yeah, I just also wanted to say one more time, thank you very much, Johnny Guns, for coming on this episode. It's been a blast, and I think Mr. Mario can agree that.
Oh, absolutely.
We've definitely been having a kick-ass time over the past 10 months, 11 months, now making these. But it is definitely, I had a really good time, and I think it's fun. It just adds a different kind of flavor or twist to the episode. Especially since this is stuff that you also are very knowledgeable with and can relay information on. So, thank you very much for coming on and spending some time with us today, man.
Hey, thank you, Dope Stoner Mario. It's been a real pleasure, guys. I really appreciate you having me on the show.
Oh, hey, no worries. As I said, you're always more than welcome to come on for another episode.
Business as usual, gentlemen.
Business as usual.
I think we need to get some bring him back hype in the comments down below or something like that. So, anyways,
guys, I'm lazy. I can't do it, man. I'm done. I am retired.
He's got commitment issues. But I guess I will sign out too as well, Dope Stoner. And again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate you guys coming back and keeping me and Mr. Mario coming back month after month to make these episodes for you guys.
Yeah, guys, Johnny Guns here. Thank you for watching very much, and thank you, gentlemen, for having me once again.
Hey, no worries.